Alright then, let's see if I can stay in this box. So, locals page. So on my locals page, I'm recording videos about writing, and particularly in Wilma and Housemates. Most of the videos at the moment are free, and then as verbs progress, there'll be the behind the scenes sort of videos when we actually make the series. Now at the moment, let's talk about, so yeah, I'm doing videos on there about some features of writing. Right, so I'm going to just turn around and look at this big whiteboard here. And I aim to get, well, by the end of September, is definitely get 103 finished. October 105, November 106. I'm not going to give you the titles. I think my titles, I'm happy with my titles. Doesn't mean they're good, but I'm happy with those titles, and I don't want people to copy my titles. So it's up to you to decide how good they are. Those are. So a month for 105 and 106. And then in December, I'm going to create the J character. And when you eventually see this character, you might, have a reaction to this character. It's like, oh, I see an influence. Right, so I'll spend a month on that character. Not using my usual process for that character. The usual process would be about 3 months. And about a 26-step process, which would include step 8 would be Jungian type. Sort of how accounts, like using my own model, like the 8 functions and the 3 sub-functions of how that character uses the functions. Step 9 is, say, any affix and the instincts. Oh, that might be step 9A. Other steps have to do with values and lots of backstory stuff, upbringing, education, capabilities, dimensions, a real thorough process in learning about the characters. Definitely works. Yeah. So, a month on J, and then who has the potential to be a hilarious character. The potential. Yeah. So I sort of intuit that I can get to that place. Yeah. So, because it's sort of happened before, but it's a fingers crossed situation. So then in January and February, I'm going to write Jay's scene where he has a video call with his dad, and there's a subtext between them in the first episode, which is 101. Should I give the title for that? No, I won't. It's called Tips of, and then I'm going to do J in 103 when he has those scenes with Wilma. And then Wilma thinking about Jay and what happened in those scenes. And that's going to be a tough scene to write. But maybe it's Campophobic 6, where it's like, do this tough scene, will it be impressive? Yes, try to make it impressive. Then it's then I do 104, which is a J story, and then there's a bit where a couple of characters are discussing comedy and stand-up, and I then sort of am going to write the proper J plot first, and then depending on how much time I have, then I'll work out how much to do that discussion, because that could just go on and on and on and on. And there's no point writing too much when, you know, time is short. It's like, oh, you're doing an extra 5 to 10 pages. Well, it might be like a week on that. Don't need that. Just use enough. Then, what else is in 104? I was a scene with Pam. Stand-up discussion. Oh, yes, there's TBO in the vid calls, and then her soliloquy. And so it's important to do that, the most important, say, dramatically into the main plot things, because the stuff where they're talking about comedy is that a bit really of the padding of that story. That's sort of a contingency planning for in case the episode's too short. I'll put that in. And that's to show the dynamic between Laura and Wilma, who are political sort of adversaries. Yeah. Right. What else? Then I've got an overflow for March. Oh, yeah. Then in March, I'm going to do a VI polish. Verbal individuality, where all the scripts are put together and I go through it and I look. So one character at a time, one main character at a time, and I look for verbal quirks to see that I don't have these little phrases coming up that characters repeat, and to make. And I have equivalents. I've done a spreadsheet of equivalents of certain words, certain common words. So, for instance, if you have, say, a verbal quirk like that, for instance, you don't want to have like characters saying, "Oh, for instance." You got to have the equivalents of that, and just the verbal individuality. That's too much to do at the start. You do that towards the end when you already have the content of the dialogue in the situation. Then you've not got to do major surgery on the dialogue. It's just changing the odd word and rephrasing to have the characters sound different at that level. They're already going to be different at the level of character and point of view, but it's just looking for those quirks. So, for example, Wilma says "cos." And so that kind of deductive speech, such and such cause, you then don't want all the characters to do that. But then you got to think about, well, which characters and then all the different synonyms for that. So I've been looking in a synonymicon, a thesaurus, a synonymicon, and where you look for different ways of phrasing, just those, and looking for those quirks. Like I say, go for every main character, and then also looking for certain words. Certain, like I said, say look for the word "cos." Right, see only what Wilma says "cos," or certain phrases such as something like "due to the fact that," or okay, make sure just say "due to the fact that." Now, looking for these phrases and looking for consistency in humor style. Basically, the characters sound different, but you usually are going to sound different. If you're writing from the inside out, then you're writing from character. You know your characters, you've got the situation and you've got the characters' sort of viewpoints, then that will determine the dialogue. But it's just these little verbal quirks of when you know the swing of talk, you don't want it to be the swing of talk all the while and just writing in one style, or writing the funniest thing rather than what the character would actually say. You've got to actually write what the character would say, rather than writing the funniest thing. Because the funniest way to phrase it might not be how that character would phrase it. So yeah, I should try and do a month on that. Overflow and VI polish. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? So that's sort of, and then from about April to July,
more casting and me doing storyboarding over those 4 months whilst I'm over those 4 months whilst I'm also doing more casting.
yeah, and yeah, storyboarding
on A4 squared paper makes it a lot easier, and do it small as well, so there's not too much detail in the diagrams.
Right then. Oh, and then after March, after I've done the VI polish,
Then I'll copyright the script, an actual proper copyright that you actually pay for, because in the United States, unless you've actually registered it with the US Copyright Office, you are not entitled to any damages in court. That's how they make money, by having the fees. And the fee for a multi-part work, which is called a group registration, is $85. It's about $65 for a single work. And within a group registration, you can have up to about 10 items within that group. Right then, so this is, so there's more videos like this, but on the locals channel, and you just get to see my thought process and all of that, and you might eventually get to a point, I hope it's made. If it's made, then you go through, he can't be he can't have INTP preferences, no way, he's broken the system, it's got to be INFP or ENFP. Don't say I'm ENTP. Right, I could live with it, but right, there's a bit, I'm not going to say that anyway. Right, because there's lines from what we're in, it's like, I don't want to say them. They're gonna get copyrighted first. Right. Anyway, so at the moment it's just all flim flam until it's made. Right then. It's just hot air. But if you want to see what I have written, but it's older writing, and it's a little bit, and the humour is more blunt, although it does have dramatic moments in it, and in certain areas it's arguably a bit on PC. And I remember one person who reviewed it said it was triggering. But yeah, you can see on Lulu the reviews of people for Wilma and Rena. A different version of Rena. The original version of Rena. The Australian version of Rena, not the London version of Rena. Yeah. Right, Rena with an I, not an E. Right. Although Wilma's the same, although she's younger in the Wilma and Housemates, just because of when it when it was written. When we're in instance, has to be same politics. The expression of those politics is a bit toned down though. In Wilma and Housemates, don't want to get cancelled. 8 main characters. Yeah. Alright then. This is why I've not been doing a lot of typology videos. Apart from the fact that I've already covered the 16 types and 8 functions. Although we'll be doing P.L.E.S.P planes at some point. P.L.E.S.P planes being the well, the first plane is the psychological, which is the actual function video. So the psychological plane of FE is go see the FE video. And then you've got the linguistic plane. Okay, what are the sort of things that someone would say in an FE mode? And usually what you get there is, say, values tend to come up in language as normalizations. So watch for normalizations, like T kind of words. Yes, but it's not productive. It needs to be efficient. All these kind of words, like, so like some of the values will come up in the words, and so the linguistic plane of the functions when the function is being used. Then you've got the EEG, which can sort of go to this stuff, digressing onto topology, and then the societal plane, which I'm saying is the Kersey role variance. So, for example, societal plane of FE. Well, actively helping people on a physical level, like the kind of SFJ kind of providing for people. Like, say, they've got an elderly neighbour and it's during that thing in 2020, and they'll do some shopping for the neighbour because they don't want that neighbour to get the thing that occurred in 2020. So you're actually helping people on a physical level. So you can say, okay, that's like a societal way. I can see that SE going with SI. No, FE going with SI. Or you could say helping someone psychologically. We can model that as, okay, that's FE with NI. Right, so that's like the societal plane because you're going towards the Kersey predisposed societal roles. And because you've got that predisposition there, you can go out and test it. Do SFJs do this? Do NFJs do that? Oh, there's a predisposition towards counseling and mentoring. SFJs is that predisposition towards taking care of people. What did... Right, there's a great character moment. ESFJ, Amos in The Expanse. The way I see it, there are three kinds of people in this world. Bad ones, those you protect, and those you follow. That's SFJ. Those you follow, Guardian. Those you protect, SFJ. Bad ones with the judgment, yeah, ESFJ. So, and then it's P.L.E.S.P. Oh, then the physiological. What are the sort of the physiological signs of someone being in a certain functional state? So SE, it's like you're not going to be daydreaming. You're going to have all your attention outwards on what you're doing and you're going to be in the zone. Whereas with NI, it might be a bit of where you're sort of like, it looks like you're sort of not in the moment, you're more in downtime. So those are the P.L.E.S.P planes. So I'll retitle the video. I'm writing in a bit of an introduction or foreword. I'm going to be English foreword on the P.L.E.S.P plane videos. Right.